Shalom, everybody. How are you? It's wonderful to be with you here today from Jerusalem. Wow, the holy capital of God. It's almost Shabbat. We're doing today Genesis chapter 4. I hope that Saturday night we'll catch up with chapter 5, and then next week we will begin again and catch up. We are in the daily chapter, Genesis chapter 4. If in Genesis chapter 1, we spoke, in Genesis chapter 1, 2, and 3, we spoke about the creation of the world. In 1 and 2, we spoke about the creation of the world by God. In chapter 3, we spoke yesterday about the creation of the world by man. And the competition and the concentrating on oneself. But the sin that man sins in chapter 3 was a sin between God and man. God told him not to eat, and he ate. In chapter 4, we're coming to a new kind of sin, a moral sin. And here we say, well, God never told us we're not allowed to do it. But once we ate from that tree, the knowledge of what good and what bad is in ourselves. It doesn't have to write in a book. It's obvious. Let's read. Today we're looking about Cain and Hevel. Cain and Hevel, the first two children born from man. And man knew his wife Chava. We spoke yesterday about the relationship between man and wife. The word yada, knowledge, even when it's talking about intimate relationship, is always mentioned only by human beings. It's never mentioned by animals, because when a man and a woman know each other, then their intimate relationship is not like that of an animal, but it's like that of a human being. The deepest kind of love possible. And there, at that moment, they can bring more life to the world. And they bring Cain. And Chava, Eve, is so excited. And she says, I have created a man with God. On the one hand, it's a recognition of Eve that God's part of the process. But on the other hand, sounds like a little bit of upgrading herself. We're two partners, we're the same. Danger ahead. Kaniti, I purchased, I obtained, I gained, he says, I conceived and bore, and I gained the child with God, Cain. The ownership. So then she bore his brother Abel. Abel is the opposite. In Hebrew, Hevel is like steam. You know, in the book of Ecclesiastes, that Solomon says, Havel Havelim, everything is like steam, like hot air. Hevel is the exact opposite of Cain. Where if Cain is totally, fully connected to the land, connected to the earth, connected to the earthly part of this world, Abel is the exact opposite. No connection to the world. Just hot air. What happens? At the end of the days, the course of time, Cain brings an offering to God. Sounds pretty good. Well, we have a few things that we should listen to. First of all, he brings his present to God at the end. Listen carefully. First, the crop goes to me. You know what, God, I'll give you some for you also. Abel, on the other hand, brings the choice of the first of his flocks. Hashem paid heed to Abel, but to Cain and his offering he did not pay heed. Here is one of the shocking parts of this Torah. Everybody who reads this chapter wonders, why did not Hashem accept the offering of Cain? What happened? What did he do wrong? He's the first person in this world to bring an offering to God. What's wrong? Actually, I believe the truth is we don't really know. At this point, we don't know. Cain is very jealous and very angry, furious as a matter of fact. to the point that God says to him, "Why are you distressed? Why is your face fallen?" A face fallen is somebody's not looking ahead, looking down. Looking down at himself, filling himself with mercy over himself, but also not looking up at God. He's dealing with the fact that his offering was not accepted. And God says to him, "Surely if you do right, there is an uplift." God says to him, if you continue in the right way, you can get closer to me. But we're still trying to wonder, why did God not accept his offering? Why did God not accept his offering? We have some kind of hint. We said it happened at the end of days, where Abel brought his offering at the beginning. But also we see that Cain is concentrating on himself. You brought an offering to God. You gave it to God. You did it for your sake. You wanted the benefit out of it. At that point, you actually gave an offering because you wanted to benefit out of it. Well, at this point, we still don't understand exactly. We do understand. Finally, the following sentence. Cain said to his brother Abel, and when they were in the field, Cain set up upon his brother and killed him. Oh. So God Hashem already knew at the beginning. God didn't accept his offering. We would say God didn't accept the offering, therefore he killed. But the truth is the opposite. If a person has an ability to kill somebody else because his offering was not accepted and his offering was accepted, if a person is in a point where he's killing somebody else because his offering was not accepted and his friend's offering was accepted, maybe that means something about his offering. Maybe it means something, it teaches us something about giving offerings. God knew. God sees the heart. A person who brings an offering to God cannot be a person who goes ahead and murders somebody else. If you bring an offering to God, and afterwards you're able to kill somebody, it means you had a problem from the very, very beginning. It didn't begin over here. This is only just seeing what happened, and God saw the potential. And God says, I don't need the offering from somebody who's doing it for his own interest. I don't need the offering from somebody who's going to be willing to kill his brother. God says to Cain, listen, don't be so distressed. You have an ability of improving things. You can go on the path of uplifting. Just like Cain's father. Cain, when God asks him, where's your brother? He doesn't know how to take responsibility. We see how difficult it is for a person to take responsibility. Adam and his wife hid between the trees, and Cain said, I don't know where. Cain knows that God's going to find out in a few seconds. But the courage to say and stand up and say, I did it. I'm taking responsibility. It's something we've been coping with from day one, from creation of man. And we see that Adam fell in it when he ate from the tree that God told him not to eat from. And we see that Cain fell for it when he murdered his brother. So Cain is punished. He's sent away from God, from the garden, from his place, and he has no stability in the world, and he's always going to be worried. Because when you understand that you can take somebody else's life, from that point on, there's no stability in the world. Just like you can take somebody's life, somebody else can take your life. But we also have to understand that this dynamic behavior of Cain causes him to create things. Cain is running around. He's not the kind of guy that will sit quietly at home. He goes and builds a city. And he also has descendants who begin, each one of them, in his own path. One will be a musician, one will be one who dwells in tents and amidst herds, just to remind us that that was what Abel did. One who develops musical instruments, and one who works with copper and iron. And finally, the Torah ends this chapter with an optimistic. Then Adam had another child, Shet, and he had a child named Enosh. It was then that men began to invoke Hashem by name. It was then when men learned that they have to concentrate on God. They have to call out in God's name. They have to stop thinking they are partners with God. But they have to understand that we are here in this world for a mission, to serve Hashem. Shalom, dear friends from Jerusalem. Shabbat Shalom. Yehudah Glick. Share this with others, and share with me your thoughts of what we said here today. Love you. Shabbat Shalom.